Welcome to the Mystic Access Podcast, where the magic is in learning.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Mystic Access Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Lisa.
And we have some things to demonstrate and talk about tonight. And the first thing we're going to demonstrate or talk about is a product that I got that I thought was kind of cute. It's a hot dog steamer that I got from speaktomecatalog.com. For those that aren't familiar with that website, they have a lot of unique trinkets and gifts and just kind of things that are out of the ordinary. Sometimes I like to go there and find just little things. And this steamer it's a hot dog steamer, and it looks like a wiener dog. So the top portion, you can actually feel the eyes, the nose, the mouth. It has 2 holes on the top, kind of looks like a whale. You can feel the tail sticking up. It's kind of like a handle. When you lift that off, there is another little plastic piece that you put your hot dogs on. And I believe you can put up to, it's either 7 or 9 hot dogs on this little plastic plate. Underneath that is the heating element, and that's where you pour the water. And it comes with a little measuring cup that you just pour the water in. You know, you take the plate, the little plastic piece off. The little plastic piece, it looks like it's about the size of a plate, obviously, because it's a smaller plate because it's holding the hot dogs. So now what I'm going to do is fill up my little measuring cup here with water, and I'm going to pour the water, not on the computer. I'm going to pour the water onto the metal plate. There we go. That's done. And
how much water would you say that cup holds?
It's a little cup. It's
like quarter cup maybe?
He's
a man. He doesn't know.
It's a quarter of a cup. It's not much.
Okay.
It's
just
really
curious.
It's really not much. So then what you do is you take the little plate, you put the plate on the over the water, and then you take your 2 hot dogs and you put your 2 hot dogs on the plate in the little cutout holes for them. You just kind of sit them there. Then you put the top of the dog on the over the hot dogs. In the back you find your power supply and you plug it in. There's no on-off switch. There's nothing that you have to deal with. You actually plug it in, it does its thing, and you unplug it. So I'm going to plug it in now, and we're going to let it cook the hot dogs, because with Speak to Me, these products, the majority of them have to actually do something.
Gift the gift that says something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the unique thing about this little hot dog steamer, well, not the fact that it also looks like a dog, is that it will bark when it's done.
I like the fact that all the pieces seem to come apart, because you obviously want that for easy washing and drying and prepping. Everything.
Yes. The top hot dog, the dog portion, the lid, the cover, that is dishwasher safe, as well as the little plate that you put your hot dogs in. The spot where you dump the water, obviously you can't put that in the washer because that's the majority of the thing. So you would wipe that off with soapy water and a rag.
It sounds like all the pieces nest together as well for storage.
They do, yes. Yep. And actually
nice.
it's funny because on the bottom where you could feel his little paws. So on the bottom portion, he's got 4 paws. He's got 2 in the front and 2 in the back.
I assume he's got a cute little tail.
He does. That is sticking up, and that's actually what you lift off. You can use
of course.
You can use it as a handle when you're lifting off the top portion of the dog. And I'm putting my hand above the 2 holes, and I can already feel the steam.
So how long does it take to cook these critters?
It takes 7 to 9 minutes.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And it will...
So we will hear him barking away here in a little while.
And it will bark until you unplug it.
Now, where on the body of the dog itself are the holes?
They're on the top, on the back.
Like on the what would be the back of the dog?
What would be the
Not
back
like
of the dog? Correct.
like okay.
If the
So you're
dog,
talking the back, not like the rear.
right, his back.
Right.
So if he's standing on all four paws, it's his back, and the holes are kind of right behind his neck.
And how do you know it's a him?
Well, I don't.
Oh.
He's not anatomically correct.
Okay. Well, I wasn't quite going there, but I was just kind of having some fun heckling.
Because my dog is a him, so he needs a brother.
Got it.
All right. Okay. Speaking of critters, I have a critter to share as well. Well, sort of. Actually, I have 8 critters. Chris got me a Christmas present that he already allowed me to open because I'm a 4-year-old when it comes to presents, as anyone who's ever bought me a present knows. And I would have shaken it and something would have broken, and yeah, it wouldn't have been good. So he's like, "Do not shake it." So I got my present. What was that? Yesterday?
Yes.
And it's also from Speak to Me. And while I can't tell you everything about it, I can demo it for you. It's really cool. It's a very sturdy, hand-blown coffee mug, and it is a mug, and it's got a handle where you can put all 4 fingers into the handle, so it's very nice and very sturdy. And I would say it holds at least 8 ounces of coffee very easily. So it's nice and tall and holds a good amount of coffee, maybe as much as 10 ounces or whatever you want to put in here. At the moment, I have not put anything in here, and I'll explain why in a moment. But the handle's very nice. The construction is very nice. And apparently it has birdies all the way around it. I'm a big fan of songbirds and have been for a long time. I kind of live out in the country, and there's lots of birds around, and I learned about songbirds from an early age. And my dad's really into nature and various things, so it was kind of a bonding thing with he and I from early on. So that's something that I've enjoyed for years and years, and something that I've been enthusiastic about ongoing. And actually, some of you may remember the Bird Tunes app that I reviewed on this podcast some time ago. And there is a correlation between that and my little mug here. On the bottom of the mug, there is an electronic element. There are 2 little speakers. You can actually feel the little speaker grills, and it's plastic. And this is in the very bottom of the mug where you would actually sit the mug. There is a switch, and there's a button. If I flip the switch, there's my robin. And if I want to, I can press the button multiple times, and there are 8 American bird sounds or songs that you can listen to. And I won't play them all for you, but I will play them more. So if you had water or coffee or tea or something in this and you set it down, it might activate this little sensor that I'm pressing, the little sensor button that I'm pressing, to play the various sounds. So the thing that you can do, if you don't actually want to hear these sounds, is to turn the switch back off. Now, if you turn the switch back on, it will start over with the robin. So it plays 8 different birds, and the documentation said something about if you pick it up to drink out of it or something, it's supposed to activate the sensor. I've not actually been able to figure that out yet because I can't yet remove this element from the bottom of the mug. You're supposed to be able to twist it counterclockwise and pull it out, but I found that I have very small hands, and even with that, I can't actually grab onto this thing and twist and pull it out. I'm not sure if I'm making it harder than it is, but I actually had someone else hold it and attempted to do it too, and then we switched, and haven't quite figured that out yet. So it doesn't have anything in it at the moment. It's just been sitting on my dining room table. It's a very fun little thing, and the correlation between this and Bird Tunes is Lang Elliott, the gentleman who recorded all the bird songs for the Bird Tunes app and put that together, is also the same guy who recorded the bird songs for this coffee cup. It's very cool. It's very sturdy. It's nice and heavy. It's got some good weight to it. And it will play you bird songs. So if you're into birds, birding, like bird songs, I know a few customers of ours who might get a kick out of something like this. This is also available at Speak to Me catalog. And we are going to link to the kitchen category so that you can check out some of these goodies, the hot dog critter and this little cup, and lots of other goodies that you can check out at Speak to Me.
You need one of those flat rubber discs.
Yep, I really do.
Yeah, I've heard them called Screwy Louies. I've heard them called other things, but
Yeah.
you can often get them as freebies with company logos and stuff on them, and they can be really helpful.
Yeah, I totally do need one of those. I was actually looking in my drawer. The only thing I have is like a pot holder with a rubber piece to it, and it's just too thick and too cumbersome to work with pulling this off. So
Yeah.
I shall figure it out eventually.
The other thing I read somewhere, and this really makes good sense too, because sometimes when you use those discs or whatever, the lid is already, or whatever you're trying to open, is already too large for your hand. And then you increase the thickness by using one of those. And
Yep.
somebody that I know said that they just used, like those rubber cleaning gloves or rubber dish gloves?
Yep. Uh-huh.
They use that, and that makes good sense as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I have, speaking about opening things, I use it not often, but I have it because where I used to work at the university, they did a study and they created this product from Black & Decker, which is a jar opener. And you put the jar into the opener, and there are two rubber things that you turn. When you turn it, the two rubber things grasp the jar, and then you put the lid down and then press the button, and the top of the lid pops off because it's unscrewing. It actually unscrews the lid. And it's really kind of cool, actually. And they stopped making it 10 or 15 years ago. It wasn't a product that was running for very long, but I got it for being part of the test. So.
And they make all kinds of stuff like that too, like 3-in-1 can opener, jar opener, bottle opener things.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of really cool things that you can find to help with
Some
that
of
kind
those,
thing.
yeah, some of those work better than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a really nice thing that I love, and I won't tease like Chris because mine is actually still being made. It is called a jar pop, and you can get it from the blindness catalogs. You can get it online. If you picture a bottle opener like you would use to open the old-fashioned bottles of soda or, I guess, bottles of beer now. If you picture something like that principle, except there is a plastic piece, like a ring, that sits on top of the jar. And what you do is you go around the jar in 3 or 4 places, and you stick the little lip under the lip of the jar, and you pull up. And you don't pull up all that hard. You pull up gently. You're not trying to pry it open. But if you do it 3 or 4 times around the jar, you eventually will hear a little pop or just a There we go. The dogs are done.
I just want you guys to hear it a little bit, but that's what he sounds like. And then you just reach over, you unplug him, and of course you're going to be careful because when you lift off the lid of the top portion of the dog, all the steam comes out.
Yes.
So you want to be very careful when doing that because steam can obviously burn you. But there you go. The hot dogs are done.
Just an added little conclusion. Basically, you just go around the jar a couple times. You try to open it, or you kind of make the motions of opening it in 3 or 4 places, and it will give a little hiss like with air escaping or pop, and you can open it. I have seen people use actual bottle openers to open a jar, and they pry the lid and they mangle it, and they get it open all right, but you can never put it on again. And this does not work that way. It works very nicely and very easily, and it's hard to be clear with my description if you've never seen a bottle opener, but it's something that you could very quickly and easily have someone show you how to do. There's not a whole lot of a learning curve with that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, it sounds kind of
yeah.
cool too because it's not something that requires power where mine does.
It doesn't require power, and it doesn't require a ton of hand strength. So
Right.
if someone has arthritis or even just if they have small hands, it's really fantastic.
It sounds really nice, especially, I don't know if you, Lisa, have any experience with this, but I know in my family we used to have done a lot of canning of various things, veggies and fruits and, random things. And it's great for those. It sounds like it would be perfect for those big sealable jars that you can just undo them and there's your corn that you canned last winter or your green beans or whatever it was.
I haven't done a lot of that. I have this thing. I have to have my pickles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Love dill pickles. And so those jars are kind of large, and it's great for that.
Yeah, that's terrific.
The next thing we wanted to talk about is podcasts and show notes. We got a really nasty voicemail from somebody who was highly upset that when we talked about the Samsung TV that we did not include the model number, which we did not include the audio model number in that specific podcast, which was true. But every single podcast episode that we do contains show notes. And the model number or the link to whatever products we talk about is always in the show notes. They couldn't find it on Google. They were irate. And I said, well, you didn't go to the source of the web page. And he says, well, podcasts are good, but if you don't give us the model number. I said, well, mysticaccesspodcast.com. It's right in the show notes. It's right there. You don't have to search for it. And I said, the link was even taking you to Best Buy so you could buy the thing.
So one thing to note about Mystic Access Podcast, it's a WordPress site. So if you go on there and you navigate by heading, you can find each episode that we've done. And then if you're wanting to scroll down, you can use your arrow keys. You can use your link shortcut, whatever that is in your particular screen reader. You can find all sorts of ways to get to our links, and we're very careful about how we code our links. So you should be able to find everything pretty easily and intuitively. And we are very detailed in our show notes. That's one of the things that I try to make sure that we do is if there's anything that we mention, we want you guys to be able to find it and know where it lives. So, or at least have a source from which to get it. So we try to be very careful about that. So if we mention something and you want to know about it or find it or buy it or whatever, go to mysticaccesspodcast.com, at least for the next month or so, and you will be able to find the links there and purchase or learn more or explore or what have you.
Now, before we continue on the next topic, well, it actually is a good segue, and she said for the next month. So yes. Don't email us and ask us if you're stopping the podcast.
We're not. Don't worry. We're just getting started. It's been an incredible year for MA. We had an incredible cyber weekend. So we appreciate all of you guys for that. And we appreciate you for listening to the podcast. It's not going anywhere. However, we are having a site redesign. And we have mentioned that to some of you via email and phone over the last month or so. This has been something that is in the works. And we're just about to officially get started with it. We are going to move our site over to WordPress. And we're very excited about this because it's going to allow for a lot more ease of navigation and ease of use and accessibility functionality. And there's a lot we can do with it. The shopping cart is going to be simplified a bit. There's going to be different options available for you in terms of how you find things on the site. We think it's just going to be a much better, easier, more intuitive, more rich experience for you guys. And my favorite part, if I need to add a product or, change something on the fly, it's very easy to log into the admin panel and go in and change whatever needs to be changed or modify or add. It's just going to be a really seamless, beautiful experience from an accessibility point of view for us as we are creating for you. So it's going to help us a lot, and hopefully it'll help you a lot too.
When we first started to use this specific shopping cart system, it was accessible for the end user.
Yeah, for you guys, for the customers.
It wasn't the greatest in the back end, and we just kind of put up with it because it was good for the end user. But now, as they've had upgrades and stuff, it's starting to not be good for the end user. Sometimes those 3 links at the top of the page that are pretty important, depending on the screen reader, depending on the time of day, depending on who knows what, they may or may not read.
And those are important because they are count, cart, and menu. All things that you need.
In that order. And
In that order.
And also on iOS that Apple is aware of. We also discovered those 3 links. You can't easily
Double tap it.
activate with VoiceOver. You actually have to double tap and hold, and then when the dialog comes up, you hit open, and then those links will present the data underneath. But currently, with VoiceOver on iOS, you can't do that. It works fine on the Mac. It works fine on Windows. I mean, as far as pulling them down, if you know what they are. But again, it's something that really, really needs to be done. When we do this site design, the podcast site and the main site are going to merge.
Yep, it's going to be one seamless experience for you guys and for us. And Mystic Access Podcast will still be around for a while. It's just going to be a redirect. So if you go there, you're going to go to mysticaccess.com. You'll be able to find everything. You can find podcasts. You can shop with us. You can do all that kind of stuff at the same place. We just think it's going to be a much smoother, more intuitive, enjoyable experience for everybody. And we're really excited about it. We're working with a really great guy who's going to be redesigning our site. He's a WordPress designer. We might even be able to get him on the podcast. We'll see if he wants to do it. But it's going to be a great experience. And he's someone I've worked with for years. And we're very excited about it. I think it's going to be a really nice experience for everybody once it's done. In terms of when it launches, it's probably going to be early in the new year. So definitely stay tuned. And in the meantime, you can shop with us as usual. As always, if you need to call us to help you in placing your order, if you have any questions, give us a call. We can help you out with that. And so don't be alarmed. This is all good stuff that's happening. As 3 totally blind individuals, we care about your accessibility as much as you do. We promise.
Because your accessibility is essentially our accessibility.
Yes, without
That
a
should be a
doubt.
slogan somewhere.
That really should.
It's truth, but it should be.
Yeah.
It should be. Absolutely.
Well, when we were talking about this podcast, I jokingly said we should call this Brots in relation to Chris's hot dogs. And then the second B was bells. Yeah, we're using some creative license to make it fit. And bells, well, we're going to leave that for you to figure out. If you want a clue, I would suggest that you listen to the last podcast. You might find that in listening, you'll learn a thing or two, and you just could save some money in the process.
Yes,
You'll want to do it
longer.
soon. Yeah, you'll want to do it soon because this is a limited time thing, but we want you to take advantage of what we have to offer. So please do consider going back and listening to that previous podcast. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say you'll be glad that you did.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. And before you get to the third B, that reminds me of something important that we need to mention, and that is shipping cutoff time for your Christmas Hanukkah deliveries. That is coming up very soon, and that will be end of day December 14th. So if you want your deliveries in time for Christmas for yourself or your friends or your loved ones, and by the way, a big shout out to those of you buying your presents for each other on MA. We really appreciate that. That's fun. We're enjoying that a lot. But if you want to make sure you've got those deliveries in time for Christmas, you need to order with us by end of day on the 14th. And what is that? Monday? No, what is that? Tuesday?
That is a Wednesday. That
it's
is
a Wednesday.
Yes, it's a Wednesday. You do not currently see on our site as it exists now separate fields for billing and shipping. If you want to order and have something go to a friend, just drop us an email, info@mysticaccess, all one word, .com, info@mysticaccess.com. Let us know. I just placed an order and I want it to go to so-and-so, and here's his or her address.
And we will make it happen.
Again, accessibility. It used to work. It doesn't work anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this too shall pass, and all this stuff will change, and it's going to be a better experience. Yeah.
Mystic Access is giving itself a brand new website for Christmas.
Yeah.
And if it's a little after the fact.
Yeah. We'll still enjoy every second. It'll be great.
The website is currently under construction as far as I am aware. So he's getting the ball rolling as we speak.
I'll be spending a lot of my time for the next couple weeks in the back end of WordPress.
And we have a third bee to
Yes, we do.
tell you about.
And we're very excited about it.
Yes, and we think that you will be too, because this comes as a direct request from some of you.
Yes.
Our third B stands for Braille, or if you prefer, for Balm, the Vario Ultra in particular. Starting in January, we are going to be running a 6-week class. We will need to have a minimum of 10 people to run the class. What we are hoping to do is run it 2 times. It will take place on Wednesdays, the last 2 Wednesdays in January, and the 4 Wednesdays in February. It will run at noon Eastern Time and 9 Eastern Time. That way, hopefully, we can accommodate those in different countries and different time zones.
Each class will run approximately 75?
Yeah, about 75 minutes, about an hour and 15 minutes. We want to have a large enough group so that we have good interaction, but we want to have a small enough group that people can participate and ask questions. You will get links to the classes, so you can download those links if you like, and we will have lots more information plus an outline on our website. And I think, if memory serves, we're going to have that go live on or around December 15th.
Correct. Yep. So we'll be ready to go.
Yes. So please check the site for more information. And if you have questions that are not covered on the site, then please contact me directly, as I primarily will be facilitating the class. And my email is lisa@mysticaccess.com. If you have a Vario Ultra, either 20 or 40 cell, or you're thinking about getting one, then you might find that this would be a helpful class. Of course, it will be more helpful if you have the unit in front of you. If you know you're getting one, you might opt to take it and save the recordings for later use as well.
And the reason that we're doing 75 minutes or an hour and 15-minute classes is because we want to make sure that in addition to the various modules or weeks of presentation that Lisa has prepared for us, we also want to make sure we've got time to answer your questions. If you sign up for this, if this is something that interests you, bring your questions. And if it isn't something that Lisa's covered, and I would be shocked, but if it isn't, it's something that we can answer for you or find out the answer for you in terms of the Vario, learning your Vario, using different aspects or facets of the display. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This is a paid class. Let's just mention that right up front. This is not something that we're offering for free, because a great deal of time and energy is going into the creation of this class. However, it is a tremendous way to get a really firm foundation in place for learning this really powerful little display. So we're very excited about it.
Yes, I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a good learning opportunity. As I said, there'll be more information, including a course outline on the website.
Yep. Absolutely. So stay tuned. And if you want to make sure that you get that information, just check our site around the 15th. Or if you don't see it by the 15th, you can't seem to find it, just email one of us, email info or email Lisa or email me, and we will get you the direct link to learn more about the class outline. And you can learn all about cost and outline and covered topics and all that good stuff very soon.
So we wanted to thank you all once again for listening to our podcast and our ramblings, what's going on with us, and have a wonderful night, daytime, whenever you listen to the podcast.
And we will probably have one more podcast out before the Christmas, Hanukkah holiday beginnings. So just stay tuned. We will be back at least one more time this year. So we're not quite done yet.
We'll be back.
We'll be back. Yes.
The preceding podcast is a presentation of Mystic Access, where the magic is in learning. To contact us, please visit www.mysticaccess.com. Call us 716-543-3323 and press 2 to reach our Mystic Access podcast comment line. Email us at show@mysticaccesspodcast.com. and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/mysticaccess. Would you like to spread the word about our podcasts? Please tell your friends and colleagues to visit us at www.mysticaccesspodcast.com. If you enjoy what you hear on our podcasts, feel free to leave us an iTunes rating and review. We certainly appreciate those. Also, you may feel free to use our podcasts in your own RSS feed. Just be sure that all of our contact information is left intact. Thanks for spreading the word, and thanks for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode.